Hi everyone, so today we're going to be working with Chapter 7, Section 5, Rational Exponents and Radicals. If you're following along, we're on page 448 in our textbook. So this right here is what I mean by when I say square root. So we're going to break this down. I'm going to explain to you what each of these things means. So this right here, this is our radical sign. This is our root sign. And I'm not saying square root because that's just a particular kind of root. This n right here, that's our index. That's going to be the degree of our root. So when I say square root, I'm telling you the degree is 2, so that's why it's called the square root. And this a, that's our radicand. That's the number under the radical sign. So basically this right here is your general setup for any type of radical. Radical symbol, the number that's going to be inside, it's called the radicand. And this right here is the degree of the root. If it's not there, it's going to always be understood to be 2. And repeat that again. If there's no number as a degree for the root, assume it's a square root. So square root of any number is equal to 2 radical, whatever that number is. So now I'm going to ask you, what is the cube root? And it's going to be the cube because it's 3, the cube root of 125. So the way to go ahead and do this, I'm going to show you the easiest way to do it on the calculator, is going to be, so we're going to take this number over here, so the degree or the index of the radical, and we're going to make it into a fraction. So we're going to make the reciprocal of it. So basically, instead of doing the cube root of 125, we're also doing 125 to the 1/3 power. I'm going to show you guys how to do it on the calculator. Now, if you have your graphing calculator at home, what you're going to do, once you put in whatever the number underneath the radical sign is, so here for this problem, we put 125. You put 125, and then the next thing we're going to hit is this caret button over here, or the power button. And as you can tell, it's underneath the clear, but above the division sign on your calculator. Then we're going to open up one parenthesis, that is over here. Then what you are going to do for this particular problem, we're going to put 1, hit the divide sign, put 3. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to close our parenthesis. Once we do that, we will hit enter, and then it will give us our answer. Or what you guys can do, and this is only going to work if you were doing a square root, you would hit second, and then this x squared button over here, because as you can tell, underneath it, it has the radical symbol. That means square root. So to get the square root, you have to do second, x squared, and then it would give it to you. Or I'm going to provide this link. It's through Desmos, and it's their scientific calculator. And now this is only going to be for when you guys are at home, because in school or in class during a quiz, you wouldn't have access to Desmos. So what you guys would do at home is you would hit this button over here. It's the N, and then it has the square root symbol. And when we do that, it kind of has you fill in what you're looking for. So you would fill in whatever power you were trying to do, or whatever index for that root that you're working with, and then you're going to put in the number in right here in this gray box, and then you would just hit, so you put your number here, put a number there, and then we would hit this blue button over here, and it would give you your answer. So back to that original problem. So we're looking for the cube root of 125. The way I like to do it on my calculator is I like to do 125, and remember, whatever index is over here, make it into the reciprocal. So 1 over whatever this number is here. So what we're doing is 125 to the 1/3 power, and we get 1. Now, when I showed you that decimals, you guys wouldn't have to do this part here. You would just put it in like this. This right over here, this would be if you're using your physical calculator. Now, some of you guys, some of your calculators are really fancy. You wouldn't have to put in that in parentheses, 1 divided by whatever. It will just kind of open up that fraction, and then you would just put 1 divided by 1/3. You wouldn't have to put it in parentheses, but most of us, it doesn't hurt to put in those extra parentheses. I know some of us have those really like fancy calculators that we have to go ahead and charge. For some reason, those ones are kind of, when you put that root button or that caret looking button, it kind of already goes ahead and knows to make it an exponent, so it takes out the step. My calculator doesn't do that, so I would have to put 125, hit that little root button, open a parenthesis, 1 divided by 3, close parenthesis, then hit enter. How about now? The 4th root of 16. Okay, so we're looking for the 4th root. So we're going to go ahead and do 16 to the 1/4 power. Put that in our calculator, and we get 2. Now, 3rd root of 27. Remember, 3. So we're doing 27 to the 1/3 power. Plug that in our calculator, and we get 3. Another way to do that, 3 to the 3rd power would give us 27 back. So if you kind of want to check your answer, take whatever you get here and put it to this power that's on the outside of the radical symbol. 3 to the 3rd gives us 27. How about now if I asked you for the 5th root of 32? Well, remember, take this 5 and make it into a reciprocal. So we're looking, basically doing 32 to the 1/5 power. Plug that in our calculator, and our answer is 2. How to check it? If we did 2 to the 5th power, we should get 32 back as our answer. How about now? The 3rd root of 64. Remember, 3rd is our index right over here, so we're going to make that into our reciprocal. So now it's basically, we're doing 64 to the 1/3 power. When we make this over here into a reciprocal, basically what we're doing is we're undoing this radical over here. Plug that in our calculator. 64 to the 1/3 power gives us 4. How about now? The numbers get a little bigger. They're not always going to be so tiny. The 3rd radical, or the 3rd root of 216. Remember, we have the 3 as our index, so we're going to make that into a reciprocal. So it's going to be 216 to the 1/3 power. We go ahead and plug that into our calculator, and we get 6 as our answer. 6 to the 3rd power does give us 216 back. Now what happens if I give you something that's not exactly like a perfect cube or a perfect root? So now I give you the 5th root of 37. Okay. How do I go ahead and do that? I don't know what the 5th root of 37 is. So what do I got to do? I got to do 37 to the 1/5 power. I go ahead and plug that into my calculator, and I get 2.0589. Now, it's not going to be an exact number because before, a couple slides ago, I believe it was the 5th root of 32, and we got 5, so we know it's going to be a little more than 2. So our final answer, we could go ahead and round, I would say round to maybe 1 decimal point, would be 2.1. So the fifth root of 37 is equal to 2.1. So as always, here are our pets of the day. Now this right here is Finley. Finley is a PC alumni dog. So I met my best friend at Pram's Catholic. So this is Finley. So Finley is Josie's dog. I believe Finley is a miniature golden doodle. Over here in this picture on the left, Finley is sitting with her sunglasses on, and she's got some flowers in her hair and a lei around her neck. Over here on the right hand side, I believe Finley's probably up in Boston or upstate New York. Not sure where they always go on vacation, but I know she always goes up to Boston and always goes to upstate New York. So here she's sitting, loving being outdoors. And this right here is Tango. Tango is Cheryl's pet bird. His birthday is coming up in June. Tango likes to play all day. Tango likes to listen to music and dance. Tango also likes to eat everyone's food and make a mess. Some daily reminders. Your homework is assigned daily and is posted on Plus Portals. Your homework is to be emailed to me before the start of class. If I don't receive it prior to the start of class, it's going to be considered late and you will not receive full credit. As always, I'll send you guys an email back when I receive your homework. If you guys have any questions, please make sure you're sending me an email and I will get back to you guys as soon as I can.